Hello, my name is Lisa and I'm the Viet vegan because I'm Viet and I'm vegan, and today's video is another compilation of here's what I cooked while I turned on the camera. This past month has been humbling to say the least. I took a bit of a break from the gym and I also had mentioned in the last video that I was kind of like feeling feelings that kind of hit me harder this past month, but I'm back at it. It has been humbling. A lot of my strength has sort of like fallen off, and so I'm slowly working my way back up. You know, it's good. I'm trying to be consistent again, and it already has impacted my mental health in a positive way, so I know I have to keep going. But we also got sick, so for physical reasons, I wasn't at the gym because we got hit with a cold, and then immediately after we got hit with like a violent stomach flu. It was a lot of laundry. All I can say is that I really appreciated our laundry machines and the spot cleaner that I bought, which is basically like a wet vacuum of sorts. If you don't have one and you have pets or young children, get one yesterday. I have a Hoover brand one, but I think I've heard good things about the green Bissell one. I think it's like a one shot. I don't remember what it is, but I don't think the brand matters necessarily. It's just you need one because it came in clutch. Because of illness and my brain and whatever, my meals have not been the most creative. I feel like I've been going through the motions a little bit, but I have been chipping away at the storage bins. Unfortunately, I have also been refilling them with other foods, but you know, that's neither near nor there. This is how we got here. But we finished up this quinoa pasta that I bought from Costco last year in this pasta dish. I bought it thinking it had higher protein than wheat pasta, and I thought it would be better for sugar, like blood sugar regulation. But comparing it to wheat-based pasta, I was a little disappointed because on the counts of carbs, protein, even iron, the wheat-based pasta was just better. So I guess I've just learned that unless you are gluten-free, you might as well just eat the pasta. In any case, this batch of pasta probably lasted us a few days, mostly because Bean really liked it on the first day, but then refused to eat any leftovers. So it was mostly me and Eddie chipping away at it every day. Sometimes Bean's preferences will just turn on a dime, and by all accounts, they're not that picky of an eater, but maybe it was like the texture of the broccolini, or maybe the pasta didn't hold up well as leftovers, but we had flat out refusal to eat during meals. And I don't know about you, I would rather not deal with a hangry little kid, so I just tried to give them different leftovers that they're willing to eat. There are some days where I have the willpower to really hold the boundary and be like, this is the meal, this is what you're eating. If you don't want to eat, you will be hungry later. However, I'm the one that also has to deal with the consequences later. So yeah, lately I've just been picking and choosing my battles based on where I am mentally. The winter months always have me craving veggies and salads for some reason. I saw 2 heads of cauliflower at Farm Boy for $5 because they had some of those like gray spots, and I jumped because I still remember the days where 1 head of cauliflower cost $10. We ate one a while back as cauliflower wings, but this one had been hanging out in my veggie drawer for a little bit too long. It was already gray to begin with. Honestly, it was still fine, but I decided to roast it for this like hearty roasted veggie salad. I've been wanting to experiment with more hands-off meals, like a sheet pan meal, because Bean always wants to play with me like the most when I'm making dinner. I think it's the combination of like the timing because they're tired and hungry, so like that's when they like want me the most. But for a while I was like prepping dinners before school pickup, but lately I've been like editing on the computer for like as long as possible since Bean has been okay with me in the kitchen while I prep. They just whine at me, whereas when I am working on the computer I have to give them a very specific activity that lasts maybe 10-15 minutes before I have to like find a new activity for them to do, because my kid refuses to play alone in their room by themselves. They like need a buddy at all times, which I kind of understand because that's kind of how I am. I grew up pretty much an only child because my brother and I have a 14-year age gap, so I relate to Bean and I feel bad, but at the same time I'm like, why don't you just play by yourself, please? I seasoned this cauliflower with garlic powder, onion powder, curry powder, and I think a bit of steak seasoning. I don't know. I just threw a bunch of stuff on and hope for the best. I also baked some sriracha tofu because this was my lunch while Bean was at school, and I just wanted to clean out some stuff in the fridge. I've been enjoying adding more whole grains to my rice lately, but I decided to just fully commit to brown rice for this bowl. Possibly a mistake. I added some olive oil and some broth seasoning to the rice. In retrospect, the oil made everything really like piecey. I'm not really sure how to describe it, but brown rice already doesn't stick well together, and then the oil just made the grains even more separate, which was fine. It like tasted good, but it was like a bit difficult to eat with a fork. And then for the dressing, I had this old line to use up, and then I started to make my sort of like typical curry salad dressing, which I would typically put on like air fried vegan chicken. But then I pivoted and decided to add tamarind chutney instead. I think it worked well. It was pretty tasty in the end, and the spicy notes from the tamarind chutney worked really well with the curry powder I added to the cauliflower. I think I would have really liked some cilantro and pomegranate in the salad, but all I had were pumpkin seeds and dried cranberries. So not the same at all, but it ended up pretty tasty in the end. And I only ended up eating like half of this cauliflower in the salad. And when Bean got home from school, they just like picked at the tray of cauliflower and was like, I don't like this. And then they ate one. They're like, wait, no, I do like this. So I learned that Bean does not like raw cauliflower, but they do really like roasted cauliflower. A few people in my life are just starting to have children now, and I have jumped at the opportunity to help in any way that I can. And also, if you are a parent going down the line, you also probably have tons of baby stuff or like stuff that your kid grew out of just like languishing in a room in your house or in a closet somewhere. And so when you have other people in your life that are just about to embark on this parenting journey, like I feel like everyone just dumps. They're like, oh, you need baby stuff? Here, please take mine. And yeah, so Eddie's cousin who lives in Toronto ended up with 90% of our newborn / new kid accessories. And I'm just so happy to see those items get like a second or even a third life, because we were the last of our friend group to have kids. So we got a lot of the same treatment. And it's been so interesting to be the one 4 years ahead and being able to look back and support and validate the friends who are going through like the trenches of pregnancy and newborn life now. Seeing the same like revelations in my friends that I went through in the early days, being able to catch the signs of postpartum anxiety and depression early on, and noticing the patterns from when I was experiencing that when I was pregnant with Bean, because like they'll remark on something and be like, oh, that's anxiety. I was like, oh, I had anxiety. I feel like I have so much information in my head about like sleep training tactics, nap schedules, how to help with gassy babies, or like whether or not you need 30 burp cloths. It's been very validating and fulfilling to like help anyone who wants the help and advice, all while being like very vocal about like how everyone's experience with parenthood is different. You have to do what works best for you. And seeing people go through some things that were like either easier or harder than our own journey has put a lot of our parenting journey in perspective as well. It feels really nice that I can be a villager instead of the one drowning and needing help, and it feels really nice to be able to give back. For dinner, I'm making some tom yum fried glass noodles. This is one of Bean's favorite dishes, and honestly, it's one of mine too. A few years back, I went through a major tom yum phase, and I think I was either pregnant with Bean or I was breastfeeding Bean, because I was like hardcore craving this like spicy, sour flavor profile a ton back then. And maybe I've coded it into Bean's DNA too, because Bean typically loves anything that's flavored with this tom yum paste. Soup, fried rice, these noodles, like it's always a hit. I air fried some tofu here, which I broke up and covered in some cornstarch and garlic powder, and then I tossed in some oil. I typically air fry that for about 16 minutes at 400 Fahrenheit, shaking the basket halfway through to kind of like break up the clumps, because sometimes it sticks together. Once both the veggies and noodles are cooked and the tofu is done air frying, I add the air fried tofu to the pan, and then I let it absorb some of the sauce if there's any left. Sometimes I'll add a bit of water to sort of loosen up the tom yum paste a little bit, so that when you mix it together with the noodles, it'll like coat more of the noodles and the cornstarch, and then the cornstarch that's like on the tofu that isn't cooked but is like kind of loose and dry there will sort of absorb the liquid and make it stickier. I don't know how to explain it, but this dish is always really, really good. So I always like to have some sort of like starchy vegetable like carrots, and then some sort of green vegetable like bok choy or broccolini here. It's just, this is like such a delicious meal. For anyone who is wondering what my progress on the problem bins is looking like, well, let's just say I've been chipping away at the bits and bobs that need to be cleared out, but then I may have replaced them with other things. The good news is, because I haven't been going to the grocery stores as often, like I used to go maybe 2 or 3 times a week just for funsies, and now I probably only go once a week. Because I'm going less frequently, I am also less often likely to cave and pick up what I want to eat instead of what I need to eat. The issue is that the specialty stores that like I need to go to for like Asian ingredients or vegan ingredients are a bit further away. So I am also more likely to pick up things that I need just in case. I don't know. I really do need to get rid of the bins though, because they're taking up a lot of space in my kitchen. And yeah, I think the issue is that a lot of the things that I have stocked up are things like Jello that I have that have food dye in them. So Eddie and I can eat them, but then Bean can't eat them. But if Bean sees them, then they're gonna want to eat them, and they can't have food dye because it's like bad for their brain. Not like for the average person, but just Bean has a lot of behavioral issues whenever they have food dye. And then there's like other ingredients that I want to experiment with that I haven't had time to experiment with, or like I just haven't gone around to it, or forget, or I don't even know. Again, I think I just really need to like focus and pick one thing every week to use up. But at the same time, I've been organically cleaning out the bins. So maybe I just carry on? I'm not sure. So Bean is homesick with me today, so you get a guest voiceover. You say hi?
Hi.
Hi. What am I making here?
Snowflake.
I'm making snowflakes?
No.
No, I'm making pesto. Kale pesto pasta with basil, and I did some air fried zucchini to make it creamy, and we had lemons in there, some lemon juice and some nooch and pumpkin seeds, and then we put it in the food processor and we ground it all up.
Like.
Exactly. Do you like helping me cook in the kitchen?
Yeah.
What's your favorite thing to cook in the kitchen?
Cooking everywhere. Cooking on the stove.
You like cooking things on the stove? What do you like to cook on the stove?
Anything.
Anything. Well, can you name something specific that you've enjoyed cooking?
Anything.
I need more details.
I like cooking everything.
Everything? Do you like cooking oatmeal? What's your favorite flavors to add into oatmeal?
Cherries.
Cherries. Oh, we haven't had cherries in a long time. When it comes
cherries.
Yeah, when it comes to pasta.
What are cherries?
What are cherries? Are you asking me what cherries are?
Yeah.
You know what cherries are. Cherries are a stone fruit. Mama's making pesto pasta here. What is your favorite thing to have on pasta? What kind of pasta is your favorite?
Mac and cheese.
Mac and cheese is your favorite pasta?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my favorite might be... You need to back it up. I think my favorite might be whenever Mama makes the creamy noodles, the Alfredo noodles.
I'm hearing in the microphone.
Microphones don't make sound. They record sound, but they don't play sound. What's Mama sprinkling on top there?
Salt.
Salt. What happens when you add salt?
It makes like a little bit like stuck, and you can lick it more.
Interesting. Does it make it taste better?
Yeah.
Yeah. But what happens if you add too much salt?
It makes very bitter.
Bitter or salty?
Salty.
Salty. What are some things that are bitter?
Like bitter melon.
Bitter melon is bitter. Sometimes if you let tea steep for too long, it can get very bitter.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is your favorite pasta shape?
Triangles.
Triangles? I don't think we've ever had triangle pasta. No, thank you. Do you like noodles or do you like the shapes?
Shapes.
The shapes? You want the crumbs?
Tempeh and tofu. That's for me.
The other one was for you. Do you want this one?
No.
Okay.
And the last one for Daddy.
I don't know if Daddy's gonna come down for breakfast. I think it just maybe.
That's mine.
Yep. See, it's barely toasted, so you don't have the crunchiness. It's just warmed for you.
We have to just put it like this. Let's topping goes on it. First is butter, right? First is butter,
That's right. First is butter, and then we put mayo on it as well.
Yeah, because it said mayo I want. A little bit more, a little bit more. Need a little bit more.
I'm gonna put mayo on that side.
I want a square cheese.
A square cheese.
Yeah, square one.
The only square one I have is a slightly spicy one. Do you want that? This is the one that Mama had. It's the pepper jack one. It has some chili flakes in it, but it's not super spicy. Do you want to try a piece? Do you want to try a piece? Do you like that flavor?
Mm-hmm.
Give you a thicker piece here.
At the end, it doesn't taste like anything.
It doesn't taste like anything?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Can you put some tempeh? Thank you.
Two isn't.
That's my sandwich.
Wow, what a good looking sandwich. What do you think? You excited to eat that?
Yeah.
Alright, let's get you a plate. Here, let's see.
I want to get a plate.
You want to choose a plate? Go for it.
That's what I do.
You would like a sandwich pick? Okay, hang on. It's kind of like not working. I know, sometimes sandwiches are tricky. Daddy's really good at holding sandwiches together, but Mama is not. Pardon?
Didn't open the cup early.
I don't know if your food picks are going to be big enough for that, so I have to figure out something else. So you just got to give me a second.
Can I have some fruit?
Some fruit?
Yeah.
I think I have grapes.
After eating pasta for what felt like forever, I did a hard 180 and craved rice. So when I'm not sure what I want to eat, but I don't want to eat any more like Western food, I find I just want something with rice. I don't care what it is, it just has to be with rice. I think this meal was a quick dinner after one of Bean's extracurriculars, and I just wanted to like have something simple. So I grated some tofu and I seasoned it with bulgogi sauce. I've been trying to alternate on like mock meats or trying to do less processed here and there, and mainly I just wanted to eat something with seaweed. So eating mixed rice with seaweed kind of reminds me of like the comfort food I sought after I was like newly postpartum. And I think that nostalgia of crispy seaweed and rice will be like very near and dear to me. I have like hundreds of videos of Bean toddling over to me to grab a bit of seaweed and rice, and then they'd waddle back to whatever they were playing with like a mouthful of seaweed and rice. Bean is getting so big now, and like their 4th birthday is coming up, and every day they just seem to grow like bigger and taller and longer and lankier. And sometimes when I give them like a little snuggle, or like they ask to go, like they want me to carry them up the stairs, I just like hold them, and they're just getting so big in my arms, and I'm just remembering how tiny they used to be. And when Bean was first born in the hospital, the first night I didn't really know what to do, and so I didn't want to separate Bean from me, and so I just let Bean sleep on my chest for the first like 3 hours of their life, and I just really remember that fondly. This was a meal prep I did before Bean had swimming lessons, but after they got home from school, so we needed like a quick post-school snack that was also a mini meal. Since their lessons are like in the middle of dinner time, I made the massaman curry for dinner that I got from Besco, but then served after school this like eggplant and onion dish, although they didn't really eat this. And then I also had some of that tofu that was in the Besco haul. And yeah, Bean really liked that tofu. But of course, I got that tofu again like maybe a month later. Bean was like, I don't like this tofu. This tofu tastes bad. I've never liked this tofu. And I was like, what the heck? You've totally eaten a block and a half of this tofu before. Anyway, yeah, this massaman curry was really good. I actually really like the size of that curry can because it takes up less space in my fridge because I just use it and then it's done, and it's also shelf stable, so it can just live in the pantry if I really need it to. But you know me, I don't need more things in the pantry. Really good. Bean also quite liked this. There was a couple other dinners that I served that Bean really didn't like, and I said, well, this is the option, and they're like, no, I want curry, because they saw that the leftovers were still in the fridge, and I was like, okay, yeah, that's fair. I have curry in the fridge. I can just heat it up and you can have that for dinner. And Bean was very happy to eat that for dinner while I can't remember what the other thing was that we had for dinner. As a child, if I were to do that to my mom would have been like, no, you eat this or else. Whereas
I really find myself fighting the urge to be like, no, I said so, like just do it, to like power trip over my kid. But at the same time, I'm like, no, I don't really want a power trip, because I was like, I don't actually care what you eat as long as you do eat with minimal effort from me, aside from the effort that I put in to make the dinner. I think that was like an easy moment for me to actually say yes. I just hope that it doesn't escalate and snowball into they just want to scavenge the fridge anytime they don't like dinner. At the same time, like as they get older, if they do that and they make their own dinner because they don't like what I've provided, I feel like I would be okay with that. I don't know. Let me know what your thoughts are below. Ever since moving, I have found myself trying to navigate making new friends and meeting new people in an era where my capacity for friendship is so different from what it was. I'm not necessarily guarded, but I am less willing to invest in new friendships the way that I had in the past. I'm not closed off, I'm actually a little bit too open, but my priorities are different and like other people's availabilities are different. And so we have like different schedules, or our kids are different ages, or just our personalities don't mesh. And I found myself being a lot more open about my personality and my quirks, because it's not that I'm trying to scare people off. I'd rather that they get scared off early versus me investing time in them and they get scared off later because of some sort of incompatibility because I'm, you know, vegan or whatever, right? So I try to like front load all of that to like really cull out, not the weak, but like the people who just can't handle me, which is fine. Recently, like since the move, I started playing a game online where there's like a community and there's like toxic personalities, but there's also like hierarchies, there's cool kids, there's pariahs. And I guess in this like moment of vulnerability where I feel untethered without my core community, I feel like I am searching for connection through a different community. I'm like reaching for these people who all seem in their own states of transitions as well. Like there are so many people who are seeking the same sort of connections that I'm seeking. But recently I've encountered some personalities in those social circles that echo toxic personalities that I've dealt with in the past. And like how I react to them now versus how I used to respond to them is so different. I used to be so focused on like trying to keep the peace, trying to make everyone happy, trying to make people feel better, trying to make myself feel smaller so I don't like threaten other people. And I remember like constantly feeling on edge, waiting for the other shoe to drop, waiting to put out fire after fire. In the past, it had gotten to a point where I was like setting myself on fire to keep others warm. And eventually I hit a breaking point and had to put up boundaries, and I lost a really close friend in that process. And whereas now I find I just am way less tolerant, I'm way more direct, and a lot of people will perceive that as me attacking them. They're saying, like, I've been called names, I've been said that I'm too brash and I'm too abrasive. While I know that if I were a man and I was communicating in the way that I was communicating, like they would never have batted an eye, because I was never saying anything that was like out of line. I was just being direct. I've just noticed such a difference in the way that I interact with people and how not scared I am of being abrasive, even though I am just being direct. And I think it was like that major friendship breakup preceded by having a kid during COVID in an era where I had to be so concrete with my boundaries. I have started to become way more confident in my own choices and my sense of self. I'm better at advocating for myself and my family. And I'm also just like willing to tolerate less from people. I am really proud of myself for no longer being as much of a people pleaser as I once was, because now that I'm older and that I've seen the patterns kind of shake out over and over, I know that it's like not actually helping anyone and it's just enabling certain people. But it's interesting to see those differences echo in this community of like online people who I don't know, they're strangers, but like I've gotten to know through Discord or through the game. It's interesting to like get to know them in this sort of way and see the parallels of like who has been in my past that's like this and how I interact with them now versus how I used to interact with them. All right, so it's been about a month since I started editing this video, and not a lot has happened since then, but I got sick, I got a little depressed, I was having a really hard time, and I was just having absolutely zero creative juice whatsoever, so I decided to take a break. I apologize for the lack of content, but I am working on my way back to normal. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. As you can hear, I am sick again. So anyway, that's the video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had an excellent holiday season and a happy new year, and hopefully I'll be back with more content where I am creative again. Okay, bye.
Sweet. ready.